In 2004, Disney tried to revitalize the Mickey Mouse brand, which thrived prior to the blank code but then went dormant when the studio pivoted to live-action films, starting with 1937's Snow White. The attempted revitalization came in the form of a theatrical feature film titled Mickey, Dippy, Pluto: The Three Musketeers. It was a critical and box office bomb, but found moderate success in DVD sales due to the implementation of a revolutionary new feature: Disney's FastPlay. Disney's FastPlay was designed to make things easier for the consumer, playing the feature film automatically after trailers, as DVDs were still new. This became more widespread in 2006 as Disney began re-releasing their live-action classics on DVD. To promote the new feature in 2004, Disney hosted the first annual FastPlay Film Festival, where aspiring filmmakers were encouraged to submit films with plots centered around the feature. Submissions were judged by a jury comprised of miserable movie makers, with the winner being acquired by Disney for a DVD release. This Disney DVD would, of course, be enhanced with Disney's FastPlay. Most people thought this festival was a stupid idea. Some even thought it was a hoax. But one filmmaker submitted a film for that inaugural 2004 festival, thus winning the festival by default. That filmmaker was Dardius Blank, grandson of 32nd and a half President Stan Blank, and father of 47th President Stan Blank. Dardius Blank's submission, simply titled FastPlay, was about 2 minutes long, starred himself and his son Stan as an infant, and basically acted as nothing more than a commercial for the FastPlay feature, showing that you could still watch your favorite Disney DVDs even if your infant son accidentally breaks the remote. When it was released on DVD the following year, the trailers preceding the film were longer than the film itself. 2005 saw a few more entrants for the FastPlay Film Festival, although none of them were feature-length. The winner this year was a short created by James Wan and Leigh Whannell, the duo that changed the landscape of horror with Sickle the previous year. This short film, titled I Wanna Play a Game and Make It Fast, was essentially a self-parody of the Sickle franchise, in which Willy the Puppet, a combination of Sickle's Billy the Puppet and the Steamboat Willie incarnation of Mickey Mouse, traps Leigh Whannell's character and instructs him to find the TV remote and bypass FastPlay. When he fails to complete this task, he's brutally disemboweled as Willy the Puppet sings FastPlay Problems, a parody of the song Princess Problems from 1937's Snow White. While audiences and judges alike loved it, Disney was not pleased, but were contractually obligated to release it anyway. As FastPlay became more widespread in 2006, the launch of Twitter also put more eyes on the festival, primarily in the form of FastPlay Problems memes, which pointed out that the feature wasn't actually as convenient as advertised. Either in spite of this fact or because of it, the submissions for the festival increased once again, including the first feature-length winner, The Absence of Click. Actor and comedian Adam Sandler reunited with the Waterboy director Frank Coraci to deliver a surprisingly deep and philosophical drama grappling with humanity's utter lack of control in everyday life, with Disney's FastPlay acting as the central metaphor. The Absence of Click is widely considered Adam Sandler's greatest film. In 2007, common tropes in the FastPlay Film Festival submissions began to emerge. Most prevalent of these tropes was the FastPlay feature being used to kill someone, obviously drawing inspiration from 2005's winner. The 2007 winner, bypass FastPlay and nobody explodes, took this trope to a new level by having its pig-sickle-esque villain rig the FastPlay feature to detonate a bomb, and the protagonist using a magic wand to rewind time in order to stop it. Strangely, the film's director went anonymous, but claims to have been inspired by both a video game and a time travel-focused sequel to 1950s Cinderella. In 2015, a VR game titled Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes was released. The supposed Cinderella sequel, however, never materialized. By 2008, Disney was getting pretty upset with everyone making fun of the FastPlay feature, so offered to buy a house for anyone who submitted a film portraying FastPlay in a positive light. This was a terrible year to make that kind of offer. Most submissions were just lazy remakes of Darius Blank's FastPlay from 2004, but the winner was Darius Blank himself remaking his own film, this time making it 2 hours instead of 2 minutes, titling it FastPlay, The Feature of the Future, and giving Stan Blank some lines since he was now old enough to read. We cannot show any footage from 2009's winner or even describe its plot, because it is a pornographic film, titled Dick Me's Foreplay. Admittedly, clever title. 2010's winner, The Trolley Problem, took a page out of the Absence of Clicks playbook, or rather, FastPlay book. Anyway, it takes a more philosophical approach by applying FastPlay to, well, the trolley problem. What else did you expect? Inspired by the philosophical approaches of The Absence of Click and The Trolley Problem, and desiring a bit more experimentation at the FastPlay Film Festival, Dune director David Lynch won the 2011 festival with Your FastPlay, a fully interactive film with over a dozen possible different endings, dependent on viewer choice or lack thereof. Most viewers, however, got the worst ending because they couldn't find their remote in time to make a choice. In 2012, the video game company Valve released both Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Source Filmmaker, the latter of which allowed people to make their own animations in Source, the engine most of their games ran on. A 13-year-old boy named Wheatley M. Watson took full advantage of this program and won that year's festival with Defuse Play, an animated film centered around the iconic CSGO characters trying to defuse a bomb linked to Disney's FastPlay. He is the youngest person to win the festival. Other countries looked down upon the American film industry due to the blank code restricting potential quality. This also meant that acclaimed international films could only get US distribution if given poor quality English dubs. In an attempted protest, Tunisian French filmmaker Abdelatif Kechiche entered 2013's FastPlay Film Festival with Blue is the Fastest Color, an English dub of his award-winning lesbian romance La Vie d'Adèle, with FastPlay shoehorned into the plot. Despite being entered into the competition as a joke, the film actually won that year's festival. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of Disney's FastPlay, Disney secretly hired Snow White and the Huntsman director John Lee Hancock to direct a biopic about the creation of the feature. Winning 2014's festival, Enhanced centered on 2 Disney employees, Seth Fast and Dominic Play, who come up with the feature and destroy their friendship and careers over it. The film featured a stacked cast, including Josh Duhamel as Seth Fast, Anthony Mackie as Dominic Play, Ralph Macchio as Bob Iger, Ron Perlman as Michael Eisner, and John Hurt as George J. Mitchell. It was relatively well received by critics and audiences, at least compared to other FastPlay Film Festival winners. However, once word got out that the film was produced by Disney themselves, it ruined the credibility of the festival, and the following years would see fewer and fewer entrants into the festival, with each year's entrance lower in effort than the last. 2015's Walt Before Mickey, an unauthorized biopic about Walt Disney, was able to enter and win the festival after tacking on a post-credits scene showing Seth Fast and Dominic Play joining the company. This time, they are played by Thomas Brody Sangster and Bobby J. Thompson. 2016's winner, FastPlay, is about a man trying to retrieve a portable DVD player stuck on a power line. The player is playing a Disney DVD that is enhanced with Disney's FastPlay. 2017's winner, What Comes After Credits, is about a group of friends anticipating non-existent bonus features after their film. Bonus features playing automatically after the film were initially a key part of the FastPlay feature, but by 2017 they were no longer included. 2018's winner, No Corners Cut, is a schlocky slasher film where the villain uses FastPlay enhanced DVDs as buzzsaws. 2019's winner, An Analytical Look at the FastPlay Logo, is an hour-long feature analyzing the design decisions behind the FastPlay logo. It is narrated by David Attenborough. Given the decrease in interest in the FastPlay Film Festival, Disney assumed no one would care about the 2020 festival being cancelled due to COVID. However, one man cared a lot. One man who directed all 4 of the previous winners, all under different pseudonyms. One man whose real name was Sid Glenn. He became obsessed with the FastPlay feature at a young age. He attended every previous FastPlay Film Festival. So when the 2020 festival was canceled, something in him snapped. He rigged 3 portable DVD players with explosives and planned to detonate them with the aid of Disney's FastPlay at 3 key US landmarks. However, he was thankfully stopped by the bravery of Calypso Poison Frog. The story of Sid Glenn, now known as the FastPlay Bomber, renewed interest in the FastPlay Film Festival, and Calypso's heroism opened doors for him to become one of the most popular filmmakers of the 2020s. The following festival in 2021, along with subsequent festivals, received numerous submissions trying to capitalize on the FastPlay Bomber, including 2021's winner, a documentary titled To Bypass, the FastPlay Bomber Files, which consisted solely of still images and voiceover, inspired by Santa's Christmas elf named Calvin. The documentary was directed by Blake Winchester just months after the release of The Sugarloaf Shade. Blake was, at the time, of course, hiding out in Bulgaria and unable to attend the festival, so the award was accepted on his behalf by Maria Bakalova, who narrated the documentary. In 2022, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson teamed up with Spanish-American director Jaume Collet Serra to make FastPlay, a blatant ripoff of the 2020 film Money Plane, starring The Rock's fellow wrestler-turned-actor Adam Copeland, also known as Edge. FastPlay won the festival, and The Rock insisted that the hierarchy of the FastPlay Film Festival was about to change, not realizing that winning meant his film was deemed the worst. While many people had tried to make their own film adaptations of the FastPlay Bomber incident over the past couple years, none had even bothered to give Calypso Poison Frog proper credit for stopping the FastPlay Bomber. So, in 2023, Calypso entered the festival and ended up winning with his own film that he claimed to depict the true story. Titled Calypso Poison Frog versus the FastPlay Bomber, The film co-starred Matt Frewer as Sid Glenn, whose unhinged performance was praised by both critics and audiences, even though he was much older than the real Sid Glenn. This film also caught the attention of Stan Blank, who viewed Calypso's films as shining examples of filmmaking, and would appoint him as Deputy Chief of Staff once he was elected president. Speaking of President Stan Blank, he announced his bid for the presidency on the 90th anniversary of his great-grandfather enacting the Blank Code, and with the 20th annual FastPlay Film Festival occurring just before the election, he entered and won with a blank slate, which was essentially a feature-length political ad that briefly touched on his connection to the festival. It is thought that a blank slate was key in winning California and Florida's votes in the election. Which brings us to 2025. What will win the festival this year? Well, hopefully, this will. To the FastPlay Film Festival jury, please vote for this celebration of everything the festival stands for. And this film will end in a moment.